Hi everyone, hope you're enjoying the weekend. In today's episode of News Generation, earth tremor shook some communities for just 10 seconds and residents were scared. We go all the way to Brazil where 15-year-old Lucas Silva is giving back. Do you know of any African name in a top Hollywood movie? What do you think of some roles they play? And we'll tell you about a plane crash. My name is Adelaide Inti. You are watching News Generation. Please stay with us.
Supported by
Cowbell with Vitarid.
Remember, we are on Facebook. It's facebook.com/newsgenerationgh. We are also on Twitter @newsgengh. And don't forget to click on the like button on our Facebook page. Now onto our first story. For many residents of Botiano, Weja and surrounding communities, experiencing an earth tremor may be nothing new. But a 10-second tremor last Thursday night made them quite fearful. Residents noted the vibration from the ground were quite significant.
No, I haven't experienced an earth tremor before. I think it's a sudden shake from the ground. I'll be scared and I'll relocate immediately.
No, I haven't experienced an earth tremor before. It's a sudden movement of the earth's surface. I would be afraid because tall buildings may fall on others and we may get injured or we can lose our lives.
Eban sana maya nyayem hihye bi pa enti me ye adwin say ye ebia ye mpanyifo bi ba ye be frɛ ye mpanyifo bi aka chom say see na ase in case cause enu ama me yem hyi me pa.
Actually, I had me earthquake zone, Makati Hill, and so yeah, expected say a bit me aba, but we na unexpected. But now okay.
An earth tremor is a small earthquake shaking and vibrating at the surface of the earth, resulting from underground movements. Earthquakes are measured with tools called seismographs, and their intensity is rated on a scale called the Richter scale. Records indicate that in 1615, earthquakes occurred in Ghana with magnitude greater than 6.0 on the Richter scale. The last three major earthquakes occurred in Ghana in 1862, 1906, and 1939. The 1862 Accra earthquake with a magnitude of 6.5 on the Richter scale killed 3 people and caused considerable damage. The Osu Castle was partially destroyed. The effects of that earthquake were felt in Togo and in Benin. 2 4.6 and 4.9 seismic events occurred in Accra in 1871 and 1872. The epicenter of the 1906 earthquake was near Ho, collapsing buildings and causing severe damage. The June 1939 magnitude of 6.5 earthquakes was the most destructive in Ghana's history, causing $67.3 million in damage. The seismic event lasted about 30 seconds and killed 17 people and injured about 140. Its intensity centered on Jamestown. If the same force of the quake hits Accra today, the consequences will be unimaginable. Between 1964 and 1997, various minor tremors shook Ghana. The effects of 2 tremors that occurred in 1997 were felt in all the regions. The Director General of the Geological Survey Department, Ejay Dodu, says his outfit was unable to pick up signals of the tremor last Thursday night due to a break in transmission of information from a US-based satellite. He said, although the situation may not be frightening currently, the magnitude could increase and cause major distractions to life and property in earthquake-prone zones. If you live in Weja and its surrounding, tell us how you felt last Thursday night. You know where to go. For many, taking to the streets to protest about issues affecting them is a sign of Ghana's deepening democracy. So the nationwide demonstration by the Trade Union Congress was seen as such. But have you thought of how much Ghana loses in terms of revenue with the loss of productive hours? We spoke to chartered economist Dr. John Gachi about the issue.
Well, I think the immediate economic implication is that their employers have lost revenue because they have not been at work to generate revenue. They have lost a productive hour, and the nation has also lost a productive hour today. So it will go a long way to affect the general economy.
After weeks of threatening to mobilize workers across the country to demonstrate about the current economic conditions, the Trades Union Congress (TUC) carried through with simultaneous demonstrations in all regions. Not even an appeal by government was enough to convince workers to put a hold to the event. The demonstrators were made up of workers from both the formal and informal sectors of the economy. The march was seen as the final message to move government to address all grievances.
At least those people who participated in the demonstration will feel happy that they have actually voiced their frustration, their suffering, they have voiced it out. And at the same time, it gives some signal to government that what it is that they have not been able to communicate clearly to the people of Ghana, they should repackage their information as to what they have done so far, what fruit has been recorded, and what expectation people should have. I think it gives a signal that they need to go back and look at those issues and communicate quite clearly to the people.
One of the key demands of organized labor was the immediate reduction of fuel prices.
They talk about a downward review of petroleum prices. Petroleum prices are determined largely by two main factors: the depreciation of the currency and the price internationally. So if you are, and then we also need to understand again that government doesn't control the import of crude oil into the country. Mainly our own private sector that we are talking about, mainly they engage in the importation of refined products in particular for distribution in the country.
How far can government go to address the issues raised by organized labor?
Demand that they made could not be addressed in the short term. For example, you cannot tell a government to stop depreciation immediately when the measures that you need to put in place are strategic in nature. You will need to diversify export, as I said earlier on. You can't do that immediately. You will need to reduce importation. You can't do that immediately because, of course, it's not government that is importing hugely. It is individual Ghanaians who are importing. And you can't take government 1 week, 1 month, 6 months to do that. It will take a while.
The demonstrators marched through some streets, and in Accra, a petition was presented to the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Haruna Idrisu.
The attention should be made to revamp Tema Oil Refinery. We can't be an oil production country whilst we destroy our only refinery. If we did that, we are only encouraging people to make money at the expense of the majority of the people. We also talk about railways. We also talk about the fact that the railways should be revamped if we want to really seriously undertake economic development.
Enough of the demonstration. Let's take a look at other stories which made headlines during the week in News Round. The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has declared an indefinite strike over book and research allowances. UTAG had earlier threatened a strike over the delay in payment of the allowances, but the National Labour Commission's intervention delayed it. According to UTAG, the allowances have not been paid for a year and they will not start next academic without payments being made. President Mahama has given more assurances his government will fix the country's road network, saying processes are ongoing to launch a major road initiative. The president was addressing journalists after he inspected work on the Awoshi-Anyapu-Kwasi Road. The Awoshi-Anyapu-Kwasi Road is a 3-lane dual carriageway and a 2-lane service road from Awoshi to Anya. President Mahama is hopeful Contractors will finish some major parts of the road by the end of 2014. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection is set to host a high-level conference on gender-based violence on Wednesday, 30th July 2014 in Accra. The conference, which will bring together ministers and government officials, is aimed at developing a comprehensive cross-disciplinary strategy for the prevention and elimination of the practice in the country. It will also provide an opportunity for ministers to renew Ghana's political commitment to the gender agenda, with particular regards to the elimination of sexual and gender-based violence in Ghana. Isn't it exciting when you see a familiar African name in a top Hollywood movie? You may not know the person, but you can readily identify with the actor. However, the roles they are often given may not be what you would expect, and you may often have a cause to question what image they portray of Africa. Here is a discussion with some young people about this.
In 1807, the UN passed a resolution abolishing slave trade. But 207 years down the lane, Africans still play the role of slaves and servants in Hollywood and other Western movies. So it's not high time we Africans produce our own movies in our own soil and tell our own stories. With me to discuss this is some young people of Heavenbirds Academy.
I think Africans should create their own movies, because if they're in the Nigerian and foreigners movie, they play a role as slaves, which is not good. But at the end also, they get their certificate or award for doing that.
I think they can continue with acting with the foreigners, because it's good when we mingle with other people to have fun, and acting like that is okay.
Well, what of the viewers some are expressing that they play the role of slaves and servants that tarnish the image of Africans?
Okay, that one I think they can change it a little bit by sometimes creating their own movies, but when they are acting with the foreigners, they can at least change some of the things they've been doing.
I think the reason why Africans should not participate in foreign movies is that I learned Ghana was the first in West Africa to start producing movies. But now Nigeria has taken the position to create good movies. Because if you go and act in the foreign countries such as Hollywood, they make the African people like slaves in the movie. So some of them, they make them as they sweep the room, some they as the gate men, and some too, they also as the housekeepers.
The opinion, some are expressing that we don't have the resources, we don't have the money to do those excellent movies. What do you think about that?
Because in Ghana, we don't have strong places that we can hold movies that we come to produce movies. So sometimes they don't pay the actors and the actresses very well. So they go out to go and make their good choice outside, so that they'll come and continue with the one they're making in Africa here.
In Nigeria, per se, the people in Nigeria, some of them can give out their house that they should use to act movie. But in Ghana, if you go and ask, some people will see the things in their house will destroy and stuff.
Whilst acting, they should add more of our cultural values to it, so that it will make it more attractive.
We should help Ghanaians by educating the public. If we educate them that if we produce the movies, our country is going to, the name of the country is going to extend. They'll be happy, and some of them will give out their houses.
Produce their own movies, not going out to copy other countries' culture to add to ours, but maintain ours, our culture well, to make the movies well.
I ain't got no comfort in this life. If I can't buy mercy from you, I'll beg it.
Let's continue the discussion on our Facebook page. Let's go to Brazil, and specifically Natal, where non-governmental NGO Fair Aligaria tries to give children from less privileged homes equal access to opportunities like education. They don't do it alone. they have young volunteers who help. This is the story of how 15-year-old Lucas Silva is also giving back. It has only been a month since 15-year-old Lucas Silva started volunteering at Verliggeria, Netherlands. He enjoys it. Before he joined the NGO, he had a lot of free time and spent his days Facebooking until his mother persuaded him to take up other activities. And he hasn't regretted it.
Porque realmente a gente ser voluntário aqui no Fé Alegria é bem vantajoso por causa tipo assim, a gente aprende mais.
It's going to be very good for me. I've learned a lot in my first month here. I'm usually shy, but I'm learning how to open up. I've changed a lot and I'm helping others too.
Aí também a gente evolui também no lado profissional, essas coisas a gente aprende mais o ramo, tipo eu sou voluntário da informática. Aí
Here, he has the opportunity to help other young people like himself. He assists the information computer technology teacher twice a week.
Que eu agora estou passando a vir aqui nas segundas e quartas, que às vezes os professores precisam de ajuda.
Just this week, I started coming 4 times because sometimes help is needed in the library.
Os professores assim, também ajudam de vez em quando. Na biblioteca.
So how does it feel like to be a volunteer?
Não, é muito bom.
I can't explain it. It's a good feeling, I guess, but I can't really explain.
Lucas is not the only one who appreciates the work of Verliggeria. Some of the younger beneficiaries are also very grateful.
We have learned that discrimination is not good. We are also taught how to behave and about our neighborhood. It's important to learn. The teachers here are good. They help us learn a lot with examples. In other schools, the teachers sometimes just give us the books to learn on our own.
Verliggeria is a non-governmental NGO that helps to empower Brazilian youth. Manager at the center in Natal, Rose Nyedi, says some of these children need a hands-on approach to their education.
Nós estamos agora com projeto para ser executado a partir de julho, com trabalho com as escolas, da Fé Alegria para as escolas.
There are issues of drugs in the communities. Luckily, not here. We want to help with formal education and teach the kids different social activities to help their future.
Jogos em conjunto com as escolas.
And Lucas agrees.
It's very important for the community because Fé Alegre takes people off the streets. They have provided a space here to help people with their education. Sometimes children could be in bad company on the streets. Here we learn how to do things. The kids here are into drugs or are exposed to violence. There are a lot of things I would like to change but don't know how.
Hopefully, through Verliggeria, Lucas will be able to find a solution to the issues in his community. Now let's do some sports. Were you disappointed with Ghana's performance at the World Cup? Well, maybe there is something to be excited about the Commonwealth Games. Despite a few failures, some Ghanaians are already making history at the Games.
Take flight, the next generation's here tonight. No hesitation, and we will leave.
Ghana has been a consistent force in the Commonwealth Games since 1954, missing only on the 1986 Games in Edinburgh. As part of a general boycott, Ghana is participating in swimming, athletics, para-athletics, badminton, boxing, cycling, judo, among others, at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Team Ghana began their campaign with a positive start. Judoka Razak Abugri won a bronze medal in the men's 60 kg contest. Razak is the first Ghanaian judoka to win a medal at the Commonwealth Games. However, Razak's other fellow judokas Dominic Agudo and Alex Amoakon were defeated by their opponents. Youngsters Abeku Jackson and Kwekuado scaled new heights after clocking their personal best in the first round of the men's 50-meter butterfly heats in swimming. Jackson won his heat while Ado finished second place, but they both failed to make it to the next round as they were unable to make the qualification time. However, one Ghanaian made history. Amoako Aka became the first Ghanaian to compete in track cycling at the Commonwealth Games at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome. The 23-year-old finished 26th out of 28 in sprint qualifying. The Glasgow-based cyclist missed to qualification to the final round after finishing 26th overall.
Ghana failed to pick up a medal in their debut and in 1982 in Brisbane. At the 2006 Games in Melbourne, Ghana took home 2 gold medals, whilst in Games in Delhi in 2010 yielded 1 silver and 2 bronze. Time to go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll tell you what the world is talking about.
When your kids need it all, there's only one drink that's got it. Cowbell Chocomalt. It's got the delicious taste of chocolate, the nourishment of malt, the all-round goodness of milk, and sugar for energy, all in one sachet. All I add is water, hot or cold. Now, that's real value. And that's real teamwork. Cowbell Chocomalt, 4-in-1 value with a great new taste.
Welcome back. You're still watching News Generation. Some 750 people killed in renewed conflict between Israel and Hamas. The latest casualties were in a UN-run school used as shelter from the conflict. At least 13 people were killed, mostly children, and more than 200 injured. The world is talking about children and civilians caught in the middle of a 20-day-old war between Israel and Hamas.
I heard on Al Jazeera News that they are having a war, and it's because the Israelis suspected that the people of Gaza have been firing missiles into their country, and some of the Israelis are scared.
About 4 weeks ago, 3 missing Israeli children were found dead in Hebron in the West Bank, a Palestinian territory. That was the spark to increase in tensions between Israel and Hamas, the governing party of the Gaza Strip. 2 Palestinian teens were attacked in retaliation. One of them was burnt to death. Hamas fired rockets into Israel, and Israel started its military offensive with the declared objective of stopping Hamas firing rockets from Gaza. Civilian Palestinians were killed in the first few days of the Israel offensive. Israel accused Hamas of using civilians as shields. To date, almost 800 Palestinians have died in the conflict. Some 30 Israeli soldiers have also died fighting inside Gaza. Israel has the Iron Dome, a technology which stops rockets, perhaps the reason only a few Israelis have been hit by the conflict. On the 17th day of the conflict, a shelter at a UN-run school was hit by missiles, killing at least 13 people, children and staff of the UN. Palestinian families were in the school fleeing Israel's offensive against Hamas militants. The United Nations has strongly condemned the death of civilians in the war and did not spare Israel for the hit on the school.
As the international community strives for a ceasefire in Gaza, there is no time to lose. The death toll is rising by the hour. I know there is a great fear in Israel. Rockets continue to threaten Israeli civilians and disrupt normal lives of normal people. I have repeatedly condemned it and will continue to do so. There is a deep pain, anguish, and loss among Palestinians. More than 600 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, and almost 3,000 have been injured.
In its defense, Israel Defense Forces said rockets had been fired from the vicinity of the school, and there's a possibility the school had been hit by stray rockets from Hamas. The Israel-Hamas conflict has been going on from time to time since 2007. Israel's occupation of some territories Hamas considered as belonging to Palestine has been the main cause of the conflict. The Gaza Strip shares borders with Israel and Egypt. Both sides of the border have been blocked for months at a time. Israel accuses Hamas, which it considers a terrorist organization, of smuggling weapons through the border. Calls for ceasefire has not yielded results yet, as both sides have conditions for a ceasefire. Hamas wants an end to Israel's blockade of the border as a condition. Hamas wants Egypt to open up its border with Gaza too. Israel wants all Hamas tunnels running across its border destroyed. For now, people in the conflict area wait for a permanent end to a war they did not choose.
No survivors from the Air Algeria passenger jet. World leaders argue over Malaysian passenger plane crash last week, and doctors in India have taken out 232 teeth from the mouth of a 17-year-old boy. That's in News Round. France President François Hollande says there are no survivors from the Air Algeria passenger jet. The flight crashed in Mali on Thursday near Mali's border with Burkina Faso. Air traffic controllers lost contact with the plane earlier Thursday after pilots reported severe storms. The 116 passengers on the Air Algeria flight included 51 French citizens. World leaders are arguing after a Malaysian passenger plane crashed over Ukraine last week. Most of the victims of the crash were from the Netherlands. So far, no one has admitted responsibility for the crash. Politicians in the Netherlands, the UK, Australia and the US, pro-Russian rebel fighters in Ukraine shot down the plane, but that information has not been verified. Doctors in India have taken out 232 teeth from the mouth of a 17-year-old boy in a 7-hour operation. Ashik Kavaya was taken to a hospital in Mumbai with a swelling in his right jaw. The teenager had been suffering for 18 months and traveled to the city from his village after local doctors failed to identify the cause of the problem. Doctors have described his condition, where a single gum forms lots of teeth, as rare and a world record. And this brings us to the end of another exciting episode of News Generation. Remember, we are on Facebook. It's facebook.com/NewsGenerationGH, and we are also on Twitter at NewsGenGH. My name is Adelaide Inti. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Supported by Cowbell with Vitarid.